it's Brandy Cullenborn, and I'm Brandy with Brush by Brandy, a furniture painter out of Sacramento, California. And I was invited to do the Paint Finish of the Month Club. I'm so nervous, you guys. I want to first of all thank everyone in here for even thinking of mentioning my name, because the caliber of artists that have been in this club, I just feel really honored to even be among the names that would be mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on my piece. We're going to do this one behind me entirely from start to finish. So I like a really clean blended look with symmetry. We're going to add some gold leafing. It's going to be really pretty. So I picked up this piece. You can see it behind me. It's absolutely beautiful, and I loved the lines of it. So to start with, to prep this piece, what I do for my prep, I clean all my pieces with Dixie Belle White Lightning. White Lightning is a granulated powder formula. Can you see that? It's like a table salt almost, and you dissolve it into water. This little 4 or 8 ounce container will last through several, I mix it into a water bottle, and this will last through several mixes. You'll get, probably 8 of these out of this little 8 ounce container. So mix it into water. I chose this piece, number one, because it's in really good condition. It doesn't need a lot of prep work, so I'm just going to clean it really well. Other than that, it doesn't have any damage to it. It's just in really good condition. So I'm just going to start by cleaning it. So I spray my piece down, and then I'm using a fine steel wool, and that's just to scrub free any finger dirt that might be on my piece. I also feel like cleaning time is a time to get really well acquainted with my piece. This is when I see if any damage is there. Do I need to do any repairs? I open all my drawers, take them out. So at the same time I'm cleaning, I'm also getting really well acquainted with the details of my piece. I've actually already gone over this entire piece one time. So I'm doing these parts again just to show you how I would clean it. So once that's all scrubbed down, I'm going to use a rag and just wipe that part clean. White Lightning is a oh, look at that. Look at my rag, you guys, just from that little scrub and the White Lightning. That's what came off of this pretty clean looking piece. So then what I do is I will take, this is a bucket of soapy water and a dish sponge, and I just want to wipe off any residual cleaner that might be left on my piece. So like I said, I've already gone over most of this one time, so this is just for the sake of showing you guys on camera how I clean. And then I remove all my hardware. These knobs are not going to go back on. They're these hideous wooden knobs. So I will save them in my box of random vintage hardware, just in case I ever want to put them on something, but I doubt I'll use these again. I'm not a fan of wooden knobs. I will find a vintagey looking, glass knob or something. We're going to use gold leaf, so I'm thinking something with some gold on it for this one. And I will find something that matches and put those on here. I get a lot of my hardware. Hobby Lobby is a great one. They have a lot of in-stock hardware. Be Lawless hardware, and then if I'm trying to match vintage hardware, Etsy is a great place to try to match vintage hardware. Alright, so I'm clean. When I do a blended finish, I leave my drawers in. When I'm doing a solid single paint color, I will take all my drawers out and paint them separately. But because I'm going to be doing blending over the front of this and I want it to all look seamless, I'm going to paint with my drawers in, and then I will come back and pull them out and touch up around the edges and the drawer frames. These doors have a key lock on them, so I generally paint the back side of my doors as well. So as far as my colors, I'm going to be using Dixie Belle Fluff, which is a white. It's not quite a pure white. It's a little bit creamy, but not an ivory. So Dixie Belle Fluff, Dixie Belle Mermaid Tail, which is a teal blue. And then I've mixed a color too, because I wanted a dark teal blue that isn't in the color line. So I mixed this up, and this was my mixing process. I took all my colors and I just went through some random combinations until I found one that I liked, and then I duplicated it on a larger scale. And what I found that I liked was equal parts Dixie Belle Caviar, Peacock, mermaid tail, and evergreen. Equal parts, 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. And I mixed them all up here in this bowl, and this is going to be my darkest color. And I tried to mix enough so that I have enough to do 2 coats on the part I want to do 2 coats on. Fingers crossed. That's what makes me nervous about mixing colors. So then for this, because I'm going to be blending the 3 colors, we're going to start with our darker on the base, a middle tone, and then the white's going to go up top. I have 3 brushes. So I'm going to start painting, and I'm going to dip into this dark blue. My mixed color is what I'm going to use first. So, yeah, that's really pretty. Can you guys see that dark teal blue? So I'm just going to go about covering the bottom of my piece all the way around. And I imagine this being kind of an organic line, kind of like a wave going across the piece. And then I'm going to carry it up here onto the top. So just with that rough idea in mind, this is just my base coat. If I want to change how it transitions, I can do that at any point. So right now I'm just going to lay colors on. My second coat is going to be an exact duplicate of the first. So I paint with Wooster shortcut brushes. They're fairly inexpensive, they're easy to hold, and they lay on a nice smooth coat. So this is just a Wooster shortcut brush. I'm trying to cover all my wood grain, get even coverage all over. I have 3 kids. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I work from home, and my garage is my workshop space. And it allows me to be home with my kids doing something that I really love doing. It started as my hobby. It took off into something I never, ever, ever thought it would be. And then I've been lucky enough to be a brand ambassador for the Dixie Belle Paint Company, which I absolutely love their products. That was important to me, that it be something that I could genuinely stand behind. Let's see, I do a lot of live videos on my page. I really don't like painting on camera. It absolutely terrifies me. But I feel thankful for all the painters before me who have put their work out there, because that was how I learned. And I just feel extremely grateful, and that's something that I want to be able to give back as well. I paint in my garage. I'm a messy painter. I never understand how people can paint in their living room and not end up with like painted furniture. This is giving me really nice coverage. This is my first coat, and you can see I'm having 0 coverage issues. Like honestly, I can't even see the wood grain. I'm gonna move to the other side of my piece. As I go, if I want to change how this transitions, I absolutely can do that. I picture it being my medium color being about the center of my piece. So I'm going to carry this up a little bit further, probably to about there. And then when I blend over the top of it, I'll have plenty of room to play with how that transitions. So I don't have this piece on rollers. I have a coating on my garage floor that actually makes sliding my pieces really easy. So I'm just going to slide this to the side, and I'm going to do the same thing on the side here. My second color is going to be Dixie Belle Mermaid Tail. It's kind of a lighter version. I know this has some mermaid tail in it, so they'll tie in nicely. I always make sure that I have a spray bottle on hand. And I'm going to spray just about the top of this line, so that when I put these 2 colors together, there is, it's kind of reactivating this first coat that I did. So when I brush them together, they really blend. Again, this is just my base coat, so I don't hesitate to let the colors mix together on my brush. I'm brushing right over the top of that mixed color that we did that was on the base. I'm going to brush right over the top of this. I kind of like this diagonal line here. So since this is just our base coat, I'm going to come back. Our second coat is really where I need to perfect this. So for right now, I'm going to let this be, it's not super well blended. It's kind of abrupt, and that's okay. I'm just trying to lay the color on right now. I'm going to show you guys up close this texture and how I'm getting inside of it. It's just got this wood grain texture. And I'm finding that going vertically is really helping me get into those crevices that are in the wood. Other than that, I'm trying to keep, fairly smooth brush strokes, watching out for any drips. I think I want to go a little bit higher here in the center. And that's because when my white comes down, I want them to be able to blend together too. And I'm just going to paint it up a little bit. And just letting my colors blend, they can create their own color. And I want to keep this paint wet so I can play with it. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to start brushing the white into the mermaid tail. I'm going to transition in between brushes. So this is the brush for my mermaid tail. That was the one for my white. And that's because I want it a little bit darker. I'm going to carry that up. Bring the white down. If my white doesn't stay pure white, it's going to look okay because it's still a mix in between the white and the next color. Again, I'll let this dry and I'll look at it and see if I like how it transitions, and if not, then I can bring it up, I can bring it down. So I kind of like this. You can see it's kind of random. Like I said, I'm going to clean this up tomorrow. I think I'm going to bring my white down further onto here. I have a wet coat of white up there, so I don't want to do it quite right now. But I like where we are. I'm going to leave this to dry overnight, and I'll come back tomorrow and we'll put our second coat on. Hi everyone, it's Brandy again, and we're back for day 2 on this piece we started on yesterday. You can see behind me what we completed yesterday was basically the first coat of our blended finish. So now I'm going to show you what we'll do for our second coat. I'm going to really concentrate on the front of this piece, and the reason is it's just too distracting to go around the whole thing. So I'm going to really focus on the technique on the front of this, but you'll get to see, that'll show you the blending and everything that we're going to do continually around. So the first thing I do before laying on a second coat is I brush my piece with a sanding sponge. This is probably a 220 grit, but it's an older sponge. So it's very fine. And I'm not sanding really, I'm just going to brush my piece. Last night when we left, I stored my paintbrushes in the refrigerator in Ziploc bags. And I do that because a paintbrush can hold a lot of paint, and so there's no point in wasting the paint to wash out and refill a brush that I'm going to use the next day. Yesterday I talked briefly about introducing another brush, and I went ahead and did that. So I've got a brush for our dark color, which is a mixed color, our medium color, which is mermaid tail, our white, which is fluff, and then this is the brush that I'm going to use to mix the fluff and the mermaid tail, and that's because I want to keep my white pure white. Today I'm going to start from the top and move down. I'm going to clean up this white a little bit. It got a little dirty when we were blending yesterday. Before a second coat, I always mist my surface lightly with a spray bottle. And all that's doing is it's going to lubricate the surface just so my brush glides a little easier. I'm not trying to thin my paint at all. I'm always only blending 2 colors at a time. I really just want to focus on where 2 colors meet each other, not trying to do, back and forth between all 3. This is my second coat on this white, and it really just brightened it up. I have great coverage, even with the white, which are notorious for bad coverage, but I've never had a problem with Dixie Belle whites covering in 2 coats. This is the side I want a little heavier on the white, and I barely want to touch this side of the white. This is the side I'm going to carry the blues up onto the top of the piece. You can see here where I started to wrap this corner. Laid my white on, I think, everywhere that I want it. I'm going to come back with the mermaid tail. Before I start blending, I'm going to get the places where I want this color to be just pure and saturated. I'm going to get those first because it's going to get white on my brush once I start moving this into the white. I got a nice pure mermaid tail, And then remember I told you that I had a brush I was going to blend them together with? This is that brush. So I want to keep my paint wet. I'm really just going to brush together the white and the mermaid tail. I want a nice thick transition between those. So I want to add a little more white to the top. I don't like how abrupt this is. I don't like this line down here, but I'm not focusing on this transition right now. I'm focusing just on this one at a time. So remember, I just was brushing vertically. Now I'm coming back and cleaning that up with a horizontal brush stroke. Got some white going on in here. Clean that up a little bit. So I'm just going to move across the piece, doing that same thing, doing small parts at a time. Clean this up a little bit. I'm just feathering this line out, and I'll come back with my white brush and a little bit of white paint and clean up where I just dirtied that. There's no right or wrong way. It's really playing with the paint until you're happy with how it looks. I like what we've got going on here. I'm going to move over to this door now. And this one I've got a little heavier on the darker colors. I'm really just going to work in this corner right here where my colors are coming together. You see, I was just using that vertical brush stroke, and now I'm going horizontal with it again, just blending those colors together. My white's getting a little muddy, so I'm going to clean that up. So I think I like that. Now let's do the mermaid tail into the darker color. I'm just going to move across the bottom of the piece now, just like we did with that transition. So now I'm going to start brushing it into the mermaid tail. Just going right over that line. So I brushed up with my darker color. Now I'm going to brush down with my mermaid tail. It's obviously easier on flat fronts like this. Over here where we get into the door and it's got some details on it, it's a little bit harder. So I feel like I like the transition that's going on there. I like what's going on here. I'm going to come over and work this door now. And over here I'm carrying it up higher, so I'm going to go all the way up here. Just spraying my surface just so my brush glides. Okay, now where I freshened up this mermaid tail, I don't like how it's running into the white. So I'm going to come back with some white again. I usually try to not do all three at the same time, but I'm at the end of the front. See how much back and forth this can be sometimes. So this, this little spot was a little tougher than the rest of the piece. It's just been a back and forth process. So I like this. So I'm going to continue it around to the sides, and then tomorrow we're going to come back and we'll put a top coat and some glaze onto this. I'm just going to glaze into the medallions and across this ridge here. So that's it for today, everyone. It's Brandy, and I'm back to show you the last few steps on this piece. You can kind of see the direction we're going on it. I added my hardware onto the drawers, and they're a nice pop of gold. So what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to put on, I'm going to give you an example of top coat. I've already coated most of this, but I haven't done this door yet. And I just wanted to show you what I did. And then I'm going to do some gold leafing and some glazing. So what I have here is Dixie Belle Gator Hide. It is one of my favorite top coats. It dries rock hard. It's water repellent, so it's a nice strong top coat. I like it for pieces that are going to get a lot of use, dining tables, Things like that are great for Dixie or gator hide. So, and then this is a Dixie Belle application sponge. So I just I poured a little bit of my gator hide into a dish, dipped my sponge in there, and I'm gonna wipe it over my piece. I love this part because watch what happens to my colors when I wipe over this. Those colors become so much more saturated. I'm just gonna wipe this over my door front. Like I said, I've already done most of this piece, but I left this door so that I could show the process. Once I put this on, I will let it dry overnight. You could come back and do another coat if you wanted. I'm checking, making sure that I don't have any drips on my piece along the moldings or anything, that I get up here nice into the corners, around these edges, and along my medallion. And I'll kind of dab my sponge in to get those deep recesses. So I'm going to show you my glazing process. The glaze I'm using is Valspar Antiquing Glaze. I just like the color of this glaze. I glaze into this medallion because I really want this to pop. And then I'm just going to do this molding up here. All I do is I dip my Wooster Shortcut brush into my glaze, and I'm going to dig it into this piece right here. I'm going to go all over it. Again, this already has a top coat on it, so my paint is protected from this glaze. I'll be able to wipe this back. If you don't top coat first, the glaze can be absorbed by your paint and you won't be able to wipe it back. I'm going to come back with I'll come back with a dry rag and just wipe this back. And you can kind of see what it does. It just gives you the definition. So once I wipe back with a dry rag, I'm going to come back with a, these are just disinfecting wipes from Costco. I like these. They seem to be the right amount of moisture in a wipe. Some people use baby wipes, but I prefer these clean wipes better. Clean up parts of my medallion that the high points that I want to keep clean. I'll just sort of wipe around those a little bit. And you can see that. And then I'm going to repeat that process up here on this molding. The last piece I'm going to do on this is gold leafing. So for gold leafing, I'm going to use Mod Podge in a matte finish. And then I just have out a package of gold leaf. Comes in a package like this. I have one that's already open I'm going to use. So I'm going to take the way I'm picturing the gold leaf on this piece is I kind of want it to start up here and go in like a diagonal down to the bottom on that side. That's kind of the pattern I picture. So I'm going to start, you know what I'll do? I'm going to put a piece right here, I think. I'm going to take this key out because I think I want it to kind of cross over the door and the drawer and just kind of random. So I'm going to dip my chip brush into my Mod Podge, and with just a little bit on there, wherever this adhesive is where your leafing is going to stick. So I'm going to put it roughly in the area that I picture my leafing going. I'm going to come up here onto the door, just really random, and I'm going to take a piece of my leafing. And I want the leafing to look kind of messy. You could use like a gilding wax for this, but you don't get the same look because gilding wax, it doesn't have that true metallic look that leafing does. So I'm going to lay a piece of leafing, and yes, I used my fingers, onto my piece, onto where I just put that Mod Podge. And then I've got a soft brush. This is another Wooster brush. And I'm just going to press my leafing in there. You see how it cracked? I want it to crack because I want it to be very kind of messy looking. I'm going to take this piece right here that's not really attached and use it over here where I put more adhesive. I'm going to kind of move this. Okay, and then I'm going to brush at it because I don't want it to look like I just pasted a square onto here. So I'm going to pull some of these parts off and get some kind of rough edges going. Really just want it to be kind of random. So I kind of got, it's just like a little detail there. So again, with my Mod Podge, I'm going to lay it onto the corner. I'm going to put it up onto the top, I think, wrap the top. So that side we wrapped the top with the dark paint, and up here I'm going to just put a little like spot of gold leafing onto the top of my furniture piece. Kind of broke apart my leafing here and the details. I really like that. See how easy that was, and look what a cool detail that's going to add. So I'm going to finish up my gold leafing, and then I'm going to come back on this piece and finish my glazing, and I will add another layer of top coat. Same as I did on that door over there, I'm going to add another layer over my whole piece. And then I'm going to call this one done, and you guys are going to get to see final pictures. Thank you again so much for this opportunity. I hope you guys learned a lot from these videos. I really enjoyed making them. My name again is Brandy, and I'm with Brush by Brandy in Sacramento, California. And thanks, guys.